Good day. Here are the stories of the Manila Times for Monday, October 26, 2020. The Bureau of Immigration will lift the antigen test retired for travelers leaving the Philippines starting November 1. In a statement on Sunday, the Bureau said it would implement the latest ruling of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or the IATF-EID. The test will still be done if the traveler's country of destination requires a negative coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 test certificate. Immigration Commissioner Jaime Morente said the other requirements imposed by the IATF-EID for outbound travel were still in place. Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo on Sunday pressed for the creation of an enhanced interagency task force to fight the systemic corruption plaguing the bureaucracy. He said he would recommend to President Rodrigo Duterte a task force that would employ a whole-of-government approach in ending deep-rooted systemic corruption. He stressed this amid the reported continuing corruption in the Department of Public Works and Highways, Bureau of Immigration, Bureau of Customs, Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, and even in the agricultural sector. Good news this time. The Philippines made history in international labor when it became the first observer nation to be elevated as vice chairman of a group in the International Labor Organization, or the ILO. The Philippine Overseas Labor Office in Geneva reported to Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III that this is the first time in the 100 years of the ILO that an observer nation was elected vice chairman of its government group, the body that represents governments in the tripartite Global Labor Organization. Speaking of good news, 23-year-old Rabia Mateo was crowned Miss Universe Philippines 2020 during the grand coronation held at the Baguio Country Club in Baguio City over the weekend. Miss Universe Philippines 2019 Gazini Ganados crowned Mateo. Besides the crown made of diamonds, yellow pearls, sapphire, ruby, and topaz, Mateo also won a brand new car and various endorsement deals. Mateo graduated cum laude from the Iloilo Doctors College with a Bachelor of Science degree in Physical Therapy. She currently works as a coordinator and lecturer for a Manila-based review center. Malacanang on Sunday said it would let the House of Representatives decide if it would look into alleged irregularities in the hosting of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Palace spokesman Harry Roque Jr. bared that the Office of the Ombudsman had already created a panel that would probe the hosting of the Games. Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. could continue with his crusade against groups and personalities he linked to the Communist New People's Army, or the NPA, but he must proceed with caution, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said on Sunday. Lorenzana said he met with Parlade over the weekend to discuss the general's controversial remarks over the appearance of actress Liza Soberano and Miss Universe 2018 Catriona Gray at a webinar forum organized by the women's group Gabriela Youth. Parlade will still be doing what he is doing, but would be more careful in accusing people if there is no evidence, Lorenzana told reporters. Vice President Maria Leonor Leni Robredo and some of her staff are in quarantine after being exposed to a person who tested positive for the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19. Robredo said she immediately quarantined herself after learning that someone she had close contact with tested positive for COVID-19 on Friday. The vice president said she had not experienced any of the symptoms of the disease. Motorcycle taxi firm Angkas was preparing to implement cashless transactions with the help of financial service providers and e-payment firms, an executive said. Its chief transportation advocate, George Royeca, said the company was finalizing decisions with banks and digital payment providers to develop Angkas's cashless shift. The Philippine Red Cross on Sunday pledged to shoulder the swab testing costs for the personnel of the Jose Fabella Memorial Hospital after 11 of its medical workers tested positive for the COVID-19 disease. PRC Chairman and Senator Richard Gordon said that the PRC will provide free swab tests for the health workers of the country's biggest maternity hospital despite the organization's financial difficulties. In business, the national government's gross borrowings amounted to more than 90 billion pesos in September, bringing the year-to-date financing to 2.56 trillion pesos. Data released by the Bureau of the Treasury showed the 90.59 billion peso gross borrowings in September was significantly higher than the 1 billion pesos in the same month last year. Over to sports, Calvin Abueva is back. He returns after a 16-month layoff while a player of the Blackwater Elite was taken out of the PBA bubble after testing positive for the COVID-19 disease. The announcement was made on Sunday morning while basketball fans await the 6:45 p.m. Manila Clasico between the Barangay Ginebra Gin Kings and the Magnolia Hotshots. Phoenix Super LPG and Abueva were both happy as the PBA Commissioner's Office finally lifted the indefinite suspension of the 6'3" do-it-all forward. Rigoberto Tiglao and Father Ranilio Aquino are today's front-page columnists for The Times. Tiglao wants U.S. President Donald Trump to win this year's presidential elections, but for a different reason. to hasten its decline as the words hegemon, while Father Aquino examines Pope Francis's recent remarks on same-sex unions. Today's Times editorial talks about why the Philippines did not join in rejecting the international right to abortion. Read the full version of the editorial on the opinion section of the Times or listen to The Voice of the Times on YouTube and Spotify. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram and keep up with the Times.